But yeah, okay. So iPhone 14 reviews are out, at least ours. So there's iPhone 14s as well. I started with the 14 Pro, and it turns out to be the one that people are most interested in. And it also is easily the most interesting one because there's actually a couple new things about it. Those main three being internals, display, and cameras. So the general gist of it, to basically summarize, I mean, go watch their video. It's a 20-minute review of all this stuff, but the internals are a slight bump up. The cameras are a little bit of a bump up. And then the display is the most interesting part and the most unique and the thing that most people will notice about the phone. But honestly, if you have a phone from like the last 3 or 4 years and you get the iOS 16 update, that's most of the new experience right there. But I'm curious, you guys, David, you've tested the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Mm-hmm. I actually want to ask you specifically about one thing.
Okay.
Battery life.
Yeah.
How has your battery life been? And have you compared it to a previous Max phone?
Yeah. So the Pro Max is good battery life. Obviously, it lasts like almost 2 days. But last year we did the same thing where you reviewed the Pro and I reviewed the Pro Max. Mm-hmm. And last year it was a solid 2 straight days.
Yeah.
And I noticed that on this one, it was still good, but it died on the second day at like 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Whereas last year, it died like at midnight on the second day or like a little bit into the third day, which is crazy. It's still good, but
still really good.
I think that always on display is having a little bit of an impact or the fact that the brightness gets up so high, especially outside.
Yeah, I think it's possibly 3 things. The third being the A16 Bionic is a little extra power hungry, and maybe that all those things combined mean you'll get slightly less battery. But yeah, the always on display, this is the one thing you can kind of see it now. It's like I've looked down at it so many times thinking my phone's still on.
Same.
And it's giving me notifications, a nice big bright time, and my widgets are updating and all that stuff. And it is very much the Apple way, but I prefer some other ways, to be honest.
I don't like that it feels like my phone is on all the time. We talked about this a little bit before, but the way that most Android phones do it, specifically Pixel, I really like the Pixel implementation, is that you just see the time and then a few icons for the apps that you have notifications on. Whereas Apple, intentionally, like you said in the review, it fades from being fully on to being kind of like really dim,
like half on.
So you still see your wallpaper, which I don't like, because if I'm trying to go to sleep, especially, and even the minimum brightness is like a little bit too bright when you're in a pitch black room.
Yeah,
it kind of illuminates.
Oh, do you use focus modes though?
So the thing about the sleep focus mode, I know that the always on display turns off when you go into sleep focus mode.
Yeah.
But my sleep focus mode always turns on at like 10 p.m. So I just turn it off, and then I always forget to turn it back on when I actually go to bed.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can push it back. You can make it turn on at like midnight or something.
Yeah.
Just as you're falling asleep.
But it also it's uncomfortable feeling like my screen never turns off. I really hate that.
This looks like it's on right now.
I know.
I thought this was on.
It does.
I don't know what I'm doing to make it actually turn
basically,
on.
all you have to do is touch it. But it basically looks like when you turn your brightness all the way down on your lock screen, like that's on.
Yeah.
And that's always on. It's slightly different.
I don't like it.
It's slightly dimmer.
I'm also realizing right now, looking at it, is like at an angle, you can see there's a huge difference between the like digital hole punch and where the actual cutouts are. And I totally see now why all the renders previously had the eye shape, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And the pixels in the cutout are like, there's a lot of them.
You can catch it from certain angles.
You can really like
from the
it's
side.
Crazy how much you can see that and how much of that is screen but not screen.
Yeah.
I think from straight on when you're using the phone,
you never notice.
It looks the best.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't notice this at the event when we were shooting it, and now seeing it, I'm really noticing it.
You can also tell that the actual cutouts are not totally flush with the digital cutouts, and I heard that's because Apple had trouble creating exactly uniform notch cutouts on the original notch. And so now when they wanted to make a digital ring around it, there are actually more just black pixels surrounding the cutouts, so that if the cutouts are not perfect, you still get a perfect digital circle.
It is a pretty consistent, nice pill-shaped thing.
Yeah.
And then the animations, all the things that it does, this is the part that I think we're gonna get into it in a second, but that we're gonna see copied a lot, which is all of the stuff that the dynamic island, I don't want to say that anymore. As just all the stuff that the pill does, all the animations that it does are really crisp and like precise and high frame rate and like friendly and alive and bouncy. And it's like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't think I would care about that at all. And honestly, most of the time you're using the phone, you're not touching it, you're not interacting with it, but you just notice it up at the top, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
that's a nice thing that they did up there.
It's really friendly. It's like it. There's something that the Pixel does that makes it feel like the friendliest phone, and the animations that Apple added to Dynamic Island feel very like delightful.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the Pixel's always on display over like when I go see the animation. Well, I don't have any notifications, but the animation that it does when it like fades down, brings the time in, and it'll like throw up the notifications right under the time. I like that better. I also really like OnePlus is always on display. This is my least favorite one, Apple's.
Yeah.
Am I in the not norm here that I just hate always on display for everything?
I think you might be scarred from the previous Pixel, which would just wake up all the time. Right?
Yeah. I just generally don't like it. I just miss my Note 8's notification LED. Like that was perfect to me.
That's
a yellow flash for Snapchat, a blue flash for text, a green flash for emails. Like that's all I ever want.
I think you need to get the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III. The only phone shipping today that still has
shipping today.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Well,
Mark IV is not shipping today.
Yeah,
I don't know what's shipping anymore. Yeah,
one of the Sony phones because they all have the notification LED,
yeah,
and that's the only one I can think of that still does it. I think
maybe
a Motorola.
Why would the new iPhone
Zenfone?
not have
Zenfone,
a notification ID? It has all the pixels there in the notch. Why can't they just brighten one of those pixels
that
as a notification LED?
Smart, actually.
I would
or
love
like do that. Remember when?
Or any phone could do that.
Remember when the S10 came out and whenever it turned on the camera, it did that little digital ring animation around the circle.
Yeah.
Apple should really do that for this for notifications.
Any phone.
I bet
an
app will come out that does that. If Apple allows it to. I know on the Pixel they allow you to like. There's this really awesome battery health pixel circle. It goes around the camera and it's like lit up only as much as your battery is for the ring.
Yeah,
Adam had that.
I think we're going to see more people doing that to their Android phones that don't have it built into the software.
Yeah. I don't know if Apple.
I would love that as a lock screen thing though. Like on my lock screen, then just have that ring light up as different colors for notifications.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
I would love that. That's all I want in a
So when you
display.
plug in the phone to charge, you do get a little animation. The pill extends and it shows you a circle with the battery percentage. And when you put your AirPods back in the case and close them, it shows you the battery percentage of your AirPods.
Yeah.
So it kind of does a lot of that stuff already. But I guess the point I was going to make is a lot of the first party stuff already works because it's Apple stuff. And then third party apps that don't use CallKit and now playing API will be able to come up with other cool things they want to do with the pill. But as of right now, like the podcast app I use, Pocket Cast works, Spotify works, all the stuff I typically use already works, which is great.
One thing that I found really cool is, and it's really, really small, but like when you are playing back media, say I'm playing the Vox Media show Today Explained, it's a yellow album art. So the waveform that plays next to it is also yellow.
Yeah.
It's like just a little like...
I haven't put that together because when we did waveform, it was red.
It's red.
And I realized it matched, but I guess I just assumed the default was red. And I haven't tried a different one.
The
so
default's
that's
black
pretty cool.
or
whatever
white
media.
or
If
It
you
would be
play
white,
a song,
I guess,
it just matches the album art of the song.
It's so cool.
That's really neat. I mean,
Just
it's
like
just,
little
again,
things.
nice little things they added into it. I mean, what they did, I saw someone describe it on Twitter really well, is like, rather like Apple's using its software to make the hardware limitations feel really good. And
It's a gradient and everything. I pulled up the Graduation album from Kanye West. It's not just a purple waveform.
Let's
It's like a
turn Kanye West
purple
on.
and
Like
bright,
across the
like
album.
gradient waveform. Yeah,
That's so awesome.
all
It's
of
really
it.
nice.
It's such
Good.
a little, again, it's like there's just these little things that make it feel delightful. And I know that Apple has been working on this for many years, and they even put a dedicated display engine just for the notch area, which they definitely want because I think they really want to make sure that you don't have like a glitchy notch because that would ruin the whole experience. Like you said, Andrew, trying to make that hardware feel more like software. Because if you can make people believe that the notch area is just a cool extra software display, they'll forget that the hardware even exists. And I think that's the point.
Yeah, I think probably someone at Apple looked at the pill before they did this, and they were like, "That looks kind of like a hack." the hole punch. We got to do something about it, make it look better.
Yeah.
And then this whole project was born. Okay, I have a question for you guys about this. You saw on Twitter there was like a Xiaomi mod of like a MIUI, a MIUI,
MIUI, yeah.
like notification thing. It kind of looked like the dynamic island, but it didn't like actually touch the selfie cutout.
Yeah.
Which company will be the first to actually copy the dynamic island in their own software?
Oppo.
Oppo. I could see that.
Oppo ships features so fast.
I could see that. They're probably working on a phone right now.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, yep, we're shipping that with
They've
the
probably
phone.
been working on it since the leaks came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you bet money on a different company?
Well, when we talked about this at the Apple event, I said Samsung, but then someone tweeted at me saying how like Samsung is so adamant about making reachability a thing and how like they make all their software to be like pull down. So now I don't think it's going to be Samsung, although I don't know if it would totally stop them from doing it. Also, the one thing about the MIUI ones, there's two. There was one that's not connected because it was a left-facing hole punch, but they had another one on a different Xiaomi phone with a center hole punch that
really?
actually did come out and looks
That's
really
alright.
nice. But again, people were tagging us. That was like theme developers, not actually
Yeah.
Xiaomi doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So our predictions are still out there. These still could happen. Oppo's a great pick, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if Samsung would do it.
I'm going Xiaomi.
Xiaomi.
I'm going to go with Xiaomi. I think
Xiaomi
they
the
just
money.
we just see that happen in their communities, and then they go with their next phone. Yeah, I guess you guys like that, so here's an option.
can
It'll
see
be
it.
way more optional. They'll give us customization and actual options, but that's my prediction.
I saw someone saying that I disagree with that. Android's focused on eliminating the hole punch, while Apple's focused on making it into a software thing. Why would they do that? And the simple answer there is that it's way cheaper and way easier to put software around a hole punch than it is. We've seen a couple under display cameras. They're rough.
Yeah, and
trust
also
me,
Android is like 30 companies, and they're all
Well, yeah.
doing different stuff. But yes, there's a concerted effort by a bunch of them at the highest end to get rid of the hole punch.
I think
Those are the
everyone would-
expensive phones.
Everyone would like to get rid of the hole punch.
Yeah.
Just the limit is there right now, and they haven't figured that out yet. So I'm sure eventually Apple will ditch that and not have Dynamic Island, but we're a long time away from
Apple
that.
is really good at taking hardware limitations and making them fashion because they turned
That's deep.
Yeah, well, they turned the notch into a fashionable thing. It's how you knew that you had the new iPhone. It was the signifier that said, I have the new iPhone.
Yeah.
And then what did they do with the notch? They put it in the MacBook and it doesn't even use Face ID.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm staring at one right now.
exactly.
On the top of this computer.
It's another way that they're like, I have the new best thing.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it with the island.
So how long till there's a dynamic island on the laptop? I don't want to put
Just
that into
wait,
the world. I don't want to put that into the world. That's a little too far ahead.
It would have to be touchscreen, right?
Oh, true.
No.
I feel like it would not be
It could just be a
worth it
notification
without-
center. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
It could just pop in.
You never
Well,
know.
I think we're going to see the dynamic island for a long time on the highest
Yeah.
end iPhones for a little while because Face ID is Face ID.
That is an interesting thing, though. If they're going to put that much work into this, it's probably going to last a few generations, which means we're probably not going to see a full screen iPhone for at least like 4 more years.
Yep. I agree. As
Before,
unfortunate as that is.
before or after 2030?
2030? We could see
2030.
it before 2030.
Before 2030?
But if you said
Yeah.
2025,
Okay, how about this?
Oh.
Both models, the lower Model 2, totally full screen iPhone before 2030. Because right now, we definitely are seeing a trend of Pro models are getting
It's only-
things quite a bit
after.
After 2030?
after
Yeah, because
2030.
they're more than ever, and I'm going to talk about this in the iPhone 14 review. More than ever, they like to separate the Pro iPhone with the non-Pro iPhone to
60
give you
hertz.
more reasons, more because the mistake they made earlier was not making them different enough, and people would just go with the cheaper phone. So now they're like, okay, it's an extra camera, it's the dynamic island, it's the ProMotion, and it's the new chip, and now they look different, they feel different. I think they would keep a full screen iPhone more expensive and a non-full screen iPhone less expensive for
How long, though?
many years.
Really? Many years?
I think so.
How long do you think it's going to be until the cheaper iPhone has dynamic island?
I want to know that too.
I would guess 1 year.
As soon as the most expensive iPhone has graduated from dynamic island.
What? No
Oh,
way.
okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
No way.
That's the Apple move, right?
It only took like 1 year for the because iPhone 8 iPhone 10 came out at the same time, right?
Yep.
iPhone
Yep.
10 was the only one that had the notch. The next year, the XR, which was the cheaper one, had the notch.
Okay, so think about what iPhone SE is doing in the background. We've got this old iPhone 8 body, and when we're expecting the next iPhone SE, which I think will be next year, we're expecting that to graduate to the 10R, which is the notch, but it's the like rounded, not squared off phone. So they've got rounded, not squared off phone with a notch, square phone with a notch, and then dynamic island. When they move up one, all of the rest can move up with it. So when the highest end phone goes to totally notchless, then they can move up the mid-range phone to dynamic island, and they can move up the SE phone to squared off sides.
Wouldn't that just be more reason that next year the cheaper iPhone will have dynamic island because they are moving up the mid-range one to dynamic island?
Well, they won't move it up until the highest end one moves up out the way.
I have a middle ground where I disagree with both of you.
Damn.
I don't think it'll be next year, but I don't think it'll. I agree with you that it needs to create some sort of separation. I think we're so far away from totally full screen that there will be some other feature the Pro gets that the normal one doesn't have, and then the one under, then the 14 or the base model will get dynamic
So the
island.
Pro will have 2 years of
I don't know,
standalone
2 years.
hardware?
Let's say like USB-C, portless, something extra that the top one gets. USB-C is
A pipe dream.
it's not a pipe dream.
No, they
It's an
have to do it.
example of something. So like it's something new that it will get the bottom one doesn't get.
But they
and
legally-
then it'll get it.
I think they legally have to make
USB-C
all
is
that.
a funny
It's
example
it's
because
across the-
they probably have to do all USB-C across the board at the
Okay,
same time.
bad
If
example.
they had
But
the
if-
option, they would put it only on the Pro
They
next
would.
year.
They would.
They
For
would. Just like the
sure.
iPads.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
the iPad situation right now? We have iPad Air and iPad Pro are USB-C, and all the cheaper iPads are still Lightning. Why?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Like
the
that-
baseline iPad is still Lightning.
The Mini is C though, right?
The Mini, I think, is also still Lightning. Let me check.
I don't- but
Let me double check.
I guess what I'm saying is the Pro will get a new feature that the normal doesn't have, and then the normal, I think, is allowed to get one of those features. Whether
Oh, like one of them.
I think it'll be Dynamic Island. I wish it was ProMotion because it's still absurd that there's an $800 phone with 60 hertz, but I do think they screwed themselves over by calling
Yeah.
it ProMotion. So
Oh, absolutely.
it'll probably only ever be
Oh
in
yeah,
the
the
Pro.
Pro. But that was the other question I was going to ask. Is like, okay, before or after 2030, where we get a 120 hertz non-Pro iPhone.
If that like it's at the point where we've talked about it for so long, we've just stopped worrying about it. Like
Yeah.
I just don't think they're gonna do it, and it's sad.
They might
but
just
like
get
at
rid
a
of the
certain
name
point,
ProMotion.
maybe
Maybe
I
they'll
could
just
see
get
that.
rid of that before they put it on the cheaper phone.
But they always, in the back of their head, will have something that they want to keep separate for the
for
pros.
sure.
Yeah.
100%.
They've got to have
Maybe
enough of a
LTPO?
list. Yeah, I mean, it's still like a big difference using the two different phones. I think they want to keep the experiences noticeably different. Also, I've looked it up. The Mini does have USB-C, but
Okay.
I believe I'm going to check the standard iPad. I think it's still Lightning.
iPad for education.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Oh, the
baseline
education one, I
iPad.
could see that.
yeah.
Yeah, so
That's probably Lightning. So they can sell Lightning connectors to schools.
it is still Lightning. So why?
Damn. Taking advantage of the teachers.
So anyway, I think they're gonna keep the iPhone Pros as far from the non-Pros as possible, and I don't think we get a full screen of both the Pro and non-Pro at the same time.
Thanks so much for watching this clip. Little game between all of us. Since we got these brand new whiteboards, and since everyone should be pressing the like button on this video, let's see who can draw the closest looking like button on the whiteboard. Marques knew what I was going to say as I was saying it. So whoever, you can vote in the comments.
Thank God.
Oh man, hands are the hardest thing to
Dude,
draw. You know,
for
that.
real.
You know,
I
that.
do. I understand. That's funny.
God,
Oh my God.
Mickey Mouse thumb. Jesus Christ.
There we go.
Hold on.
Is that a
I think mine looks
finger?
more like the Facebook one now that I think about it.
Oh, they look similar.
I feel
How
like
do you, I guess that's
just trace your thumb.
just trace it.
What do you mean? This.
Just put your thumb on the whiteboard and trace it at the same time. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
All
okay,
right.
you can't make fun of mine. That's
There we go. Leave it in the comments. Favorite, closest to like button,
Yeah.
while also pressing the like button.
Marquez's does look like the Mickey Mouse one.
what the glove
The
on.
gloves, yeah.
Oh,
Wait, can I see yours, Andrew?
It's uniform garbage.
It's got an extra thumb.
Thank God
An
we
extra
have Tim.
thumb?
Oh, it's the bottom finger.
Thank God
It's
we
his
have Tim.
cuff.
Oh,
I think the
Wait.
Facebook one is like a cuff on the bottom.
oh,
and
I
I
didn't
think
even
that's
know.
what I'm thinking.
I
of.
didn't realize you had a
I
cuff.
wish one of us was like insanely good and could do like the handsome Squidward hand.
It's not me.
Thanks for watching this clip.
I'm gonna redo this.